Pickle, let's go to the hotline. We are pleased to be joined, as always, on Thursdays, but at this new and improved time, with the voice of the Texas Longhorns, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, is our friend Craig Way. Mr. Way, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful on a midday Thursday. Hope you guys are doing well too.
Wait, by the way, I should tell you that you got bumped. The reason that he's doing this, and I'll just be clear, you've been bumped by Sheldon Benight at Galveston Ball. So sorry, but he's coaching a 5-star athlete there, Jonah Williams, and we could kind of talk to you whenever.
Listen, I have been bumped by far worse than Coach Benight, so it's easily accepted, and he's got things rolling pretty well.
He does. They've got a big game this week against Port Arthur Memorial. I want to ask you about what your week looks like this week. The Texas Longhorns are off. They are one of the many teams across the state of Texas that are taking an open date in week 6. So as the voice of the Texas Longhorns, but also as the high school football voice of record across the state of Texas, what does an open date for you look like this week?
Half open. As you mentioned, there's no Texas Longhorn activity. So Linda and I will be making our way up to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex later this afternoon. And obviously I'll be in studio with you and Aaron Hardigan for our High School Scoreboard Live tomorrow night. So that part is the work part of it. And then there's just kicking back. I'm actually taking a couple of days off from the office. So doing that and coming up, and Linda and I, being hopeless old yacht rockers, are going to go over to Arlington to their nice small venue at the Arlington Music Hall and see, wait for it, Ambrosia tonight. So for those of you in the yacht rock, you'll understand. So that's tonight, and then just enjoy the weekend.
Wow, that is definitely a choice to be made tonight. That's okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. That's the most important thing. I don't know that if you offered me a ticket, I'd join you, but I'm glad that you guys are happy.
Yeah, hey, maybe the best part of the evening is the fact that there's babes around the corner, so there's chicken before music. So there's good.
That's pretty good. All right, Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Let's talk a little bit about. We're at the midway point, really, quite literally, of the regular season. Here at Texas high school football season, and looking across the landscape of what Texas high school football has brought us through the first kind of couple or first half of the season, I guess kind of in broad strokes, would you classify this first season of the season as being more chaotic than normal, the standard amount of chaos, or more chalky than ever? Where would you fall as far as what this first kind of swath of the season has looked like?
I would put it somewhere between chalky and slightly chaotic. Mm-hmm. I don't think there has been enough crazy chaotic things to have us go, oh my gosh, this is really going to be a really wild and wacky high school football season, because we've seen some unusual things happen in weeks 1, 2, 3, especially in the non-district portion of the season. Things kind of seem to settle in once we get on in the district play. And I think in another week or two, it's probably really going to be much more chalky down the stretch. The chaos, I think, will happen in the postseason. There's enough close range between the ones we know and the ones that are kind of on the horizon out there and thinking, hey, maybe that could be a dangerous team. Let's keep an eye on a group like, I'll just give you for instance, Alvarado. Mm-hmm. A school that looks good but hasn't been a headline grabber in the past. And we've already seen a couple of these types of programs get a reality check, Panther Creek and a couple other ones, early on. Doesn't mean they're out of the mix by any stretch, but I think we've seen it be a little more chalky. But when we get to the postseason, some of these teams will get their second win, and maybe they'll get a break going their way. And we always see a few surprise results, and I'm expecting nothing less than that again.
It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, join us here at Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag TF Today. All right, Craig, the other thing that's interesting, I think, about Week 6 is that because of the way the districts are set up, You have a number of teams obviously in district play, another large swath of teams, about a third of the UIL 11-man teams off this week that are taking the week off. But then you also have these other teams where they have they don't want to take another open date, right? They want to get a game on, but like there's just not a lot of takers, which is how you get matchups like San Benito versus Carthage in Bay City, or you get matchups like Harlingen and Cuero teeing up with one another. So I want to ask you, as a Texas high school football historian, let's call you, do you recall a non-district matchup that you thought, what in the world are these two teams playing one another right side? Obviously, when the playoffs roll around, you're going to have teams from different parts of the state matching up. But as far as non-district games are concerned, can you recall a game as wild, perhaps, as like a Carthage and San Benito?
Not within the boundaries of the states. I think it would have to go out beyond it, and remembering, I guess it was Tyler Lee back in the day against Cincinnati Moeller and things like that. The out-of-state intersectional battles across at South Lake Carroll, playing schools down in South Florida, things of that nature. The ones within the state boundary. When I saw the San Benito Carthage matchup, I smiled broadly and said, "Okay, that's good." And you know who would love to have a matchup like that? Duncanville.
Yes.
They've got an open date, and they have no way to fill it because they could, Reginald Samples, nobody wants to play him. It's hard. And Coach Samples wanted to get another non-district opponent, and this would have been the week to do it, but he couldn't do it. So the schools that are able to fill it, good for them, and good for San Benito, and good for Carthage to be able to line up and play those, because they're few and far between and kind of rare to happen the way they have.
Yeah, to pull back the curtain a little bit, I got a text message from a coach in like about a week before the season started, and he said, "Hey," and it was like a 5A coach. He's like, "Hey, our team just dropped, like the team we were playing. I think they were playing some out-of-state team. They just dropped the game. We're not going to be able to play them. Do you know anybody who's open in week 1?" And I wrote back to him and I said, "Well, I do know one team that's open in week 1. It's Duncanville." And he replied, "I think we'll just take the open date." So, like, there's a couple.
Yeah, I could. And to further answer your question, I'll take it to a different level. For those of us OGs, these guys have been around a long time and seeing a lot of high school football. I can just tell you that over the past few years, to see not a non-district matchup, to see a district matchup in recent years, the likes of Dallas Carter against Venus. That would it would just make your head spin. The Salina against Kimball. You would go, what? You could never conceive of that in the 80s, the 90s, and even into the early 2000s. It's pretty commonplace now.
It's the meanest thing we do to each other each week on our respective shows, and I'm on the Craig Way show down there on AM 1300 The Zone in
Atascocita, Summer Creek.
I was going to be clear, I was only going to give you two because I think there's really only two options. That one or Aledo Denton Ryan, but I assume we know your answer in the 23-6A matchup.
Well, having said that, Aledo Ryan is pretty enticing. And I'll tell you another one. How about your alma mater? How about Coppell and Geyer? How about that? That's a good matchup, I think, as well. There's several good ones around, but I think Atascocita and Summer Creek is at the top of the list. Atascocita's uber explosive offense. Summer Creek, we're still waiting on them to allow a point. Hadn't done it yet. So I think that's probably the primo matchup, although Ryan and Aledo in that 122-game district win streak for Aledo, as you pointed out when you were on my show a couple of days ago, George W. Bush was the president of the United States the last time Aledo lost a district game. So there's enticing elements to both, but forced to choose only one, I'd probably lean to Atascocita, Summer Creek.
He's Craig Way. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Joins us every Thursday. Listen to him on AM 1300 The Zone down there in Austin on the eponymous Craig Way Show. And then see him on High School Scoreboard Live tomorrow night, 10:30 p.m. on Bally Sports Southwest. Craig, appreciate your time, my friend. And safe travels. Enjoy Ambrosia.
Yeah, if anybody wants to see me, just drop by the Arlington Music Hall tonight. That's where we'll be in camp to watch. And John Ford Coley is leading it off. Remember he was real popular in the late 70s, early 80s. It was England Dan and John Ford Coley. Unfortunately, England Dan is no longer with us, but John Ford Coley will lead it off before Ambrosia.
I remember that for sure.
Yep.
Thanks, Craig.
See ya.
There he goes, Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. Joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today.